Some solve problems by thinking and talking. Others use rocks. Toggo Goblin Weaponsmith. How's it going, everyone? My name is Josh from Elder Drunken Highlander, and this week we are dropping the drunken part of our name and getting stoned. Throwing stones. Toggo. This week's deck tech is Toggo. That's right, I'm coming to you with our deck tech video for Toxic Rocks, aka Toggo Infect, a janky and exciting deck at the casual power level that will rock your socks off. It's infectiously fun. It could really be your poison. Now, before you dislike this video and question my alignment on the good-evil scale, both for playing Infect and for making puns, I think Infect can be a fun, exciting, and even fair mechanic to play with and against. While, yes, there is the possibility of someone getting one shot, that possibility is there for other seemingly acceptable playstyles like Voltron. In fact, I would argue that with the exception of Infect combos, which are comparable to regular combos, Infect is a very similar mechanic to Voltron in both its power level and in the way it plays. It needs to deal a specific number of damage to each player and has to rely on creatures usually to do so. I think people get scared of Infect because they get hung up on the fact that yes, it is very easy for Infect to kill one person. I get it, nobody wants to be that one guy. A player who is confident in their ability to navigate the table and protect themselves, though, shouldn't fear Infect as long as they know they aren't the one person it is going to kill first. If anything, it is often a good idea to let decks like Infect and Voltron to do their thing, as long as that thing doesn't affect you or your game plan. If the Infect deck is focused on another player, let them kill that player. You could stop them after. I think this fear of, what if it's me? What if I die to poison? Is the real reason Infect can be so hated. When playing against Infect, keep a level head and try to use the fact that Infect can cause such visceral reactions and can only kill one person at a time to your advantage. Steering the Infect deck towards a more vulnerable player while keeping up interaction to protect yourself can be a strategy that could win you the game. Remember, the Infect deck is trying to win alone. Your damage won't help them like it does the other players in the pod, so they're actually much more vulnerable than you would think. They have to win using poorly costed creatures too. Just compare Lost Leonin to Elite Vanguard, or Razor Swine to the plethora of 2-mana 2/1 first strikers with other abilities in red. There's a reason you don't see Infect in competitive EDH. Toxic Rocks looks to play Toggo early and begin ramping in the mid-game in order to generate some cool rocks. As the game begins to transition into the more late game stage, the deck begins attacking with its Infect creatures and dishing out poison counters. It can finish players off by throwing rocks at its problems, allowing our Infect creatures to deal their poison damage at a range. We have a few proliferate effects as well as a +1/+1 counter sub-theme using Reyhan that we take advantage of as well that helps us power our Infect creatures into the late game. Look to keep opening hands that can ramp on turn 2, which will allow us to play Toggo and then a land to get one of those delicious rocks out early. Also, try to keep openers with at least one Infect card for obvious reasons. There are no crazy infinite combos that will win on the spot in this deck. I feel like that is rather extra, so to speak, with Infect cards. Instead, we aim to close the game with damage doublers and proliferate effects to use on our rocks. We do, however, have a few spicy value combos using Reyhan that can put our Infect creatures into overdrive. Flesh Eater Imp can one-shot a player along with Reyhan for the low cost of 8 mana. Start with the Imp on the board and ready to attack. Cast Reyhan or have her on the field already and sacrifice her to the Imp. The Imp will get +1/+1 and it will also get all of Reyhan's counters. Now cast Reyhan a second time and sacrifice her a second time, putting the counters once more on the Imp. Now your Imp will be a flying 10/10 and will be able to one-shot any player on the battlefield. You can do this using a sack outlet and any Infect creature, which is the reason that we chose Reyhan as our second commander. Buffing Infect creatures, it turns out, is really good. We also make good use of Vigilance and untap effects, so that our creatures can attack and then throw stones for maximum value. Since we have so many relatively cheap Infect creatures, this means that swinging in and then launching our rocks could be instant death. As for weaknesses, we lose to creature control decks that like to wipe dorks with stuff like Pyroclasm. If we face a deck like that, we will need to hold on to our interaction and sandbag some creatures, otherwise they could turn us from Toggo into Drago. Notable inclusions: Phyrexian Swarmlord. This dude just wins games on his own. Man, oh man, does he get my inner Timmy going. Wow, what a cool creature. He makes so many little dudes to throw our rocks as well. The Scorpion God, a persistent blocker and a draw effect to offer some removal when our rocks are running low. Primal Growth, sacking Reyhan and getting 2 rocks is pretty good. Evolution Sage, proliferates Infect and our various counters, all for doing what our deck does anyway. Retreat to Kazandu also gets an honorable mention here. Arcbond and Chandra's Ignition. These cards are the main reason to run Effect in red, in my opinion. Besides Toggo, of course. Notable exclusions. These are some cards that just barely didn't make the cut or that we're still considering to add to the deck list. Field of the Dead. This card's really good in our deck list, but it isn't really a token deck, and it's technically not really even a landfall deck. Fetch lands. I think these aren't needed for this deck when it's at this power level. It can hang at the casual level without spending that cash on the mana base. If you really want to run the deck at stronger tables, you should consider adding these. Big Infect Creatures. I wanted lower costed creatures to make better use of our rocks. Beastmaster Ascension, Overrun, Overwhelming Stampede, and other similar effects. We don't really attack fast enough in order to turn stuff like this on, and while stuff like Overrun, Overcome could help us close out a game, so too can our rocks. Quicksilver Genius. I thought about him and other similar effects to try and do cute stuff with the rocks, but ultimately it seemed a little too cute. Maybe I'm wrong here, maybe adding some artifact value is worthwhile. Power level. This is a good pre-con to casual level deck. It is a great way to play Infect without scaring the crap out of your opponents, and can be tuned up or down relatively easily as needed. Powering up would require some better ramp, as well as more landfall and anthem effects perhaps on top of some combos. Powering down would just mean cutting some of the stronger individual cards for more fun stuff. Overall, Toxic Rocks is a fun, entertaining, casual EDH deck that is great to plop down at the kitchen table with your friends, or perhaps in Play EDH low online. Play this deck if you like Infect but don't want to lose friends, if you enjoy high synergy builds that don't focus on infinite combos, or if you just want to yuck some rocks. Don't play this build if you're looking for something high power, or if your playgroup has an irrational hatred of Infect, or if you live in a glass house. Thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe if you aren't already. If you enjoy our content, please show the YouTube algorithm that we are worth recommending by liking and commenting on our video. It'll really help us grow. If you want to see this deck list, it is in the video description. If you want to brew decks like this or other janky decks in general, come chat with us on our Discord server. We have other social media too that you should check out in the video description. Once again, we appreciate your viewership, and I'll see you next time.